We talked as friends about the conversation about loneliness, and we discussed the whole thing of people not having many friends and that sort of thing. Can you just brief the audience on those stats before we get into the discussion around that stuff?
Yeah, well, the recent research that the recent Surgeon General Vivek Murthy published widely is that half of Americans do not have four close friends. I believe the research is half of Americans have three friends or less, and about one out of six Americans say they have no close friends. That is not old statistics. In a generation, we've seen a dramatic drop in the size of networks, the number of friends people have, and the number of close friends. And for the first time in American history, the research shows that younger generations are more lonely than older generations. And to put that in perspective, it was just taken for granted that as you get older and you have less mobility and your friends get sick and die, you become more lonely. That is no longer true. In fact, recent research shows that as much as 80% of young people in America say they're experiencing loneliness. And the reason this is relevant in my work is when I'm training people in leadership roles to get better at connecting people they care about, I want us all to understand we don't have to go very far before we're finding people who want us to get better at connecting people and who are actually, desperate to be connected with the people who can bring people together.
Yeah, but I look at it and I wonder about relationships. Like my parents moved into not an old people's home, but a resort style community for over 50s. And they made, 50 new friends in 6 months because they knew how to make friends. Like they knew how to connect. I don't know. Do people just lose that skill? What happened?
The research seems to indicate, Brad, at some level, yes, that our social contexts have changed so radically. And one of the things that's happened is we're moving more through our lifetimes than ever
Like
before.
moving physically?
Yeah, physically moving. And whenever we do that, we're largely resetting the community we need to create to have the life we want. We also know that Americans are largely moving away from their home faith traditions. And while many people have very, very good reasons for doing that, it also means that we're not gathering with people who share our purpose and value in life over and over again and experiencing maturation together.
Yeah. I remember when I first moved to Vegas, I didn't really have a group, and once I got a group of guys that I started to hang with, there was a Jimmy Kimmel skit called Handsome Men's Club. And I just nicknamed the group and created a group chat on the phone, Handsome Men's Club, and just said, all right, this is now my group. You're the gang. And it's interesting how, I don't know, I just sort of see my role as being almost a connector of people, if that makes sense.
Well, it's funny that you should say that, Brad, because you and I were chatting earlier and you perfectly exhibited a type of maturation in connecting people and being a person who convenes. And I just want to be really clear. I'm not inventing this myself. I learned this from Marissa King, who used to teach at the Yale Business School and now teaches at Wharton. And she wrote a fantastic book called Social Chemistry. And she talks about how there are different types of connectors. And one of the types of connectors is the expansionist, the person who just wants to meet more people and they do the things that meet more people. And my guess is, Brad, if I met a 21-year-old Brad, he didn't yet have powerful business connections. He didn't know who would be helpful in what you wanted to do. And so he was just meeting people and was getting out there and wanted to make sure that they knew his name. And he was making sure that you went to places where you'd meet the people important to you. And so that's what an expansionist does. And that's a very, very important person because if you don't have connections into a field, then you got to expand, right? But at some point, Brad, you knew as many people as you could know. In fact, you knew more people that you wanted to know better and spend time with than you physically have time with. And I know you have a family and you probably want to spend time with them. So you don't want to spend every Saturday meeting more business people.
Dude, today my wife and I joke about this. We just don't have room for new
That's right.
friends. It's like, who are we going to drop to add a new friend? It's
That's
like, we
exactly
don't have
right.
time.
And honestly, I'm in a similar place. And that's a great place to be in the sense that you matured into it. You have enough friends that you want to spend time with them and you want to be available to them and you want them to call you on bad days and good days. And you didn't have those.
We throw a lot of parties, and it's why for sport, we have a suite for like concerts and stuff. Cause like we can't invite two people to a concert. You've got to have, we need the 16 people suite just to, that way we catch up with 14 other people at one time sort of thing. Okay, so that explains why for me, okay, I'm an expansionist. All right, I
No,
get it.
you were an expansionist. You're now a convener.
Okay.
Now you convene the people that you want to know or that are important to you. And I know that over a couple of years, there's some rotation in and out of that. People move away, some people's priorities change, but largely you're bringing people together that you're already connected with or the people who they bring, which is to say they're 1 degree away. And if someone isn't 1 degree away or doesn't meet you directly, they largely don't have easy access to you because you just physically don't have the time.